everyone, welcome back with Being a Mac. For today, we're going to continue our playthrough of Legends of Wrestling for the Nintendo GameCube. And of course, we're continuing with Hulk Hogan, and we are the U.S. champion. We have done the United States tour, and now we're on to the World Tour, starting off with Montreal.
Introducing first, from Venice Beach, California, towering in at 6 feet 8 inches. And tipping the scales at an amazing 300 pounds, the man with the largest arms in the world, Hulk Hogan. And his opponent, hailing from Union City, Tennessee, towering in at 5 feet 8 inches. And weighing in at 240 pounds, Coco Beware. And his opponent, hailing from Atlantic City, New Jersey, towering in at 6 feet 4 inches, and tipping the scales at an amazing 445 pounds. He is the master of the 5 count, King Kong Bundy.
Alright, so we got some triple threat 3-way dance action going on here, folks. And we just got our ass chokeslammed by King Kong Bundy here. So we got the Birdman and we got King Kong Bundy. You know, 2 people we have fought before separately, but now we gotta take them out, you know, at the same time. I love the goofy, the goofy physics in this game. You know, it's, I think Day of Reckoning and stuff like that, the GameCube ones are the ones that really get the credit for it, but I think this may have been the first one, to my knowledge, that actually took advantage of, like, you know, moves, if like, in multi-man matches, if like somebody gets hit with a move, you know, in the crossfire, they also, you know, can get damaged and stuff, which I always thought was pretty annoying, more often than not, to be honest. Although that said, the GameCube titles for WWE, I believe they were the first ones to allow you to actually interrupt moves. And that is a pretty cool feature, you know. It is something, it was always kind of, I wouldn't say it was annoying, but it was a little lame back in, like, the WWE SmackDown vs. Raw series, in which, you know, they were, especially the ones when they were really trying to start to ramp up the realism, and they just, you know, you couldn't interrupt moves in any way if, you know, your partner was being attacked or something like that, or in a multi-man match and you're trying to interrupt a finish or something like that. That was always annoying. But that said, it is so frustrating to deal with. Like, a lot of people think it's cool and awesome, and like for when you're playing with friends and stuff like that, and Day of Reckoning and stuff, I'm sure it's great. For me though, in the multi-man matches in that game, oh man, that is just, goodness me, oh my, those are the worst matches in the series. Like I said, I mean, everybody always mentions the steel cage, fatal 4-way. That wasn't too bad for me personally. If I did it again, I bet it would be. Because I did like a fatal 4-way match with Heinrich, Orlando Jordan, and RVD for a contendership for the United States title belt. And yeah, that was terrible, horrible. One of the worst wrestling game experiences of my life. So I mean, if it was with friends and buddies and stuff like that, and you're playing for fun, I'm sure it's great. You know, all the chaotic action, but not when like you're, you know. For me, like, the only other equivalent I could think of for how sheerly, you know, the sheer frustration I was feeling is in Mario Party 7, you know, sometimes in the Mario Party games unlock everything, and including the boards, and I believe this was what you had to do in 7, to unlock the Bowser board, you had to complete the single-player campaign. But, you know, in that game, of course, it's Mario Party. There's so much luck-based, you know, stuff going on. You know, you could win all the mini-games, but you might not get to the star. You might not complete the conditions that you have to, and there could be a whole lot of bullshit behind it. So, you know, and you're facing a computer, so there's not any fun involved if you're getting fucked over in that situation. And that's kind of how I felt in the Day of Reckoning Fatal 4-Way matches. And, you know, a lot of people say, like, I even did I posted a question, would the Fatal 4-Way matches work in the Aki titles? And, you know, especially like in cage matches and ladder and stuff like that. I think it was cage specifically though, because I was like, hey, would cage matches work? And like there were a lot of people saying, hey, no, it wouldn't, because Day of Reckoning, we've seen what the outcome was to that it wouldn't work. And I disagree, because once again, Day of Reckoning is one of the most chaotic wrestling games I have ever played. Like, people do not, even myself in my review, I probably didn't do a good job of just explaining how insane everything is going on in that game, you know, that series. That was crazy with the trash can. But because, you know, it's just like I said, it all really comes down to, like, you know, being able to interrupt everything, and, you know, the speed of the game also contributes to that as well. Very fast-paced game. And the AI is pretty crazy too, you know, with the reversals. They don't mess around. So I think that's kind of why a lot of people would say, you know, nah, Fatal 4-Way or Triple Threat cage matches or something like that wouldn't work. And the Aki titles, because, you know, they attribute the same, there's a lot of similarities with the Aki series and the Day of Reckoning series, but there's a lot of differences. You know, Aki didn't have all this off-the-walls batshit insanity involved within it. You know, even in his ladder matches, you know, it was crazy, but it was never anything like, you know, a Day of Reckoning match. And, you know, even then I posed the question because I had finally gotten Feel the Bang running on my emulator, you know, on my, you know, computer and stuff like that to test things out. And I do want to do a review on that at some point, just probably not for a while. I got to try and figure things out because it just doesn't seem to be working very well for me. So we'll see if I can figure out something to fix it. But the reason why I brought that up is because I actually, in that game, you know, that mod, which is a mod for WWF No Mercy, they have multi-man matches in pretty much every match type. You know, you can have Fatal 4-Way ladder matches. You can have Fatal 4-Way steel cage matches. And, you know, the steel cage matches, you can have pin, submission in it, and all this other awesome stuff that we never got in the Aki series, too. And I got to say, man, that it is such an awesome, you know, it's some of the most fun I've had in an Aki game, just playing against the CPU and Fatal 4-Way cage matches and stuff like that. You know, it's a little annoying, don't get me wrong, and it's because the game was never programmed to have this happen, but more often than not, when, like, someone is trying to escape and I'm trying to shake them off the cage, the AI is more worried about kicking my ass than actually helping me, until they get to that point where, like, the AI, you know, the guy who's climbing the cage is, you know, in the position where they have to button mash to get out at the top, and then they start, you know, putting in the work to shake the cage and stuff like that, and, you know, you have to, you know, change, it's a different button to shake the cage with multi-man matches and stuff, but it still works, you know, surprisingly well, you know, especially for it just being, like, you know, a mod and stuff like that. So, I mean, I definitely think multi-man cage matches, pin and submission in cage matches really could have worked in the Aki series, and it's just too bad we never got that in an official capacity. And, you know, maybe one of these days in one of Retro Randy Price's projects or something like that, or somebody else will figure something out like Mr.SK Styles, and we'll be able to have some, you know, multi-man cage match in the future. Fatal 4-Ways in general, like, if there's no elimination, I definitely agree that's just not going to work in the Aki series with how the, you know, people getting up all the time and stuff like that. It only really works for, like, 3-way matches, in my opinion. Alright, so we went from Montreal, now we're going to Tokyo. Let's see what we got here.
And his opponent from Tacoma, Mexico, standing at 6 feet 3 inches and weighing in at approximately 245 pounds, former World Tag Team Champion Tito Santana.
Alright, we got Tito Santana. It doesn't get any more Japanese than him, right? And the thing that kind of bothers me, I've never actually made it this far in the game. We're doing new territory here. I'm pretty sure, unless if I'm just not seeing it because it's hard to see the dots on this map, I think we only have like 3 spots. And, like, if we're doing the world tour, I hope we're going, like, all over the world. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just, you know, 3 spots, but we'll see. We got Toronto, you know, Canada. We got Tokyo, Japan. You know, and of course, you know, Hulk Hogan always works harder in Japan, folks. So, you know, you're in for a much better than usual contest here. I'll tell you what. And I'm pretty sure this might actually just be the same arena that we fought in. So it looks like there's no difference between any of the arenas in the World Tour, which I kind of hope isn't the case. I want to see a little more arena variety and stuff like that, but we'll see next match. Because I remember that symbol too, like between the Titantrons. I think that may have even been, I could be wrong, but is that the same? Is this the same arena we fought in for the United States tour too? Like, what the hell's going on here? What kind of promotion are we working here? Alright, well, we got the endless reverse cycle here. Never mind, I didn't reverse, so did that on purpose, totally, you know, just to spare you guys the agony of having to go through with that. But yeah, that is the most annoying part of the Legends of Wrestling series. I love the second game, you know, I've talked about it so many times. I think I've probably mentioned every single episode on this thing of how much I'm looking forward to playing that game. But I mean, geez, man, I couldn't even get past I couldn't even make it to, you know, complete all the territories or anything like that. I don't know if they had the United States Championship and it's like this in this game where it's the World Tour and all this other stuff, but golly gee wilkers, man, I mean, that is going to be 10 times harder than this game. Nice drive, buddy. Tito Santana, I feel like, is someone who is a little underrated, and I think he's definitely talked about, but I think he's just kind of in an era, you know, like the 80s. What the hell? Did you just see that blood appear all over the ring? Also, is that like a boot marks and stuff like that? If that's the case, that's pretty cool. Or maybe it's like sweat or something. I can't tell what that is. Maybe it's just a mark in the ring that's already just, you know, a part of the texture. But that's pretty cool looking if it is just, you know, sweat or, you know, a boot mark or something like that. Gotta say, you know, the gameplay is a little iffy, but like I said, I always look at things like, you know, the blood on the mat and stuff like that. You know, it just kind of makes me wonder, like, obviously, they know they could probably make much better games, I'm sure, Acclaim. Or, like, at least they did, or whatever, when they were around, but I don't know, I'll never understand how people can look at the things, you know, like, if they really didn't give a shit, you know, I think details like this, you know, blood on the mat, you know, I feel like that wouldn't exist, because what would be the incentive? What would be the point of them making it in there? You know, putting stuff like that in there. I do agree 100%, you know, especially with the Legends of Wrestling series, they needed to focus more on the gameplay, and, you know, it's unfortunate. I mean, these are, you know, the potential of these games could have been so huge, but, you know, it is what it is. But I don't know, I definitely feel like there had to have been at least a few passionate people that really wanted these games to be the best they could, but maybe they just, because of upper management or something like that, they couldn't have the opportunity to make that kind of stuff happen. But they still, wow, you know, they put in cool stuff like this, you know, the visuals and stuff. And, you know, I don't know. Because the PS2 era was kind of when a lot of things in gaming changed. Some for the best, some for the worst. We got a good match going on here, folks. That meter's already almost filled. But as I was saying, Tito Santana, he's someone I feel like is a little underrated, and maybe because also the era he was in, obviously he was a smaller guy in that kind of time, and I think people just, you know, the Attitude Era and beyond is kind of like the modern era where fans really, you know, talk about a lot of that stuff, you know, in a consistent fashion. And it's the era that the WWE keep bringing up, and like I feel like even more so than the Attitude Era and past eras, the WWE, whenever they bring up stuff from like the 80s and the early 90s and stuff like that, they take out a lot of like top guys, you know, that were big deals at the time. You know, I mean, pretty much everybody in the WWF in the 80s, I mean, almost everybody was like a huge star that, you know, was a major deal in like the territories and stuff like that. You know, people that you don't really get talked about as often, you know. Don Morocco, Tito Santana. You know, he had some pretty great rivalries with, you know, Macho Man and Ted DiBiase, which were pretty cool. And, you know, of course, there's also his partner, Rick Martel. That's a really cool one as well. You know, I mean, I think people kind of try and give him his flowers, but, you know, I don't know. I guess, you know, I feel like some of these guys don't get the credit that they deserve. All right, now we're in Mexico City.
pounds, Rick Martel. Also in tonight's match, hailing from Denton, Texas, towering in at 6 feet 4 inches and weighing in at 260 pounds, the man that started the Von Erich dynasty, Fritz Von Erich. And his opponent, hailing from Roanoke, Virginia, standing at 6 feet 2 inches and weighing in at 255 pounds, former World Tag Team Champion, Mr.USA, Cody Atlas.
Oh man, speaking of Rick Martel, we got him here. You know, like I said, I mean, like I was just trying to say earlier, you know, I think it's just a lot of the. It's great that this game existed at the time, and it's just too bad it wasn't a bigger thing because, I mean, everybody that was here was it's called Legends of Wrestling because they were all a big deal at one point in time, and you know, it is kind of sad. You know, the internet definitely helps with that stuff, and you know, Hogan in the '80s. You know, obviously helps with, you know, people wanting to look into certain things and stuff as far as classic wrestling goes before the Attitude Era. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Territory Era, you know, there's people that talk about it. Obviously, Jim Cornette is a big guy in that regard. But I think it would be cool. You know, there is some promotions on the WWE Network. But I don't know. I wish there was a way, you know, that we could promote it a little bit more. You know, because these guys, you know, you know, some of the greatest wrestling rivalries of all time. You know, the wrestling was a lot more simple, of course, you know. Much simpler than even this game conveys, but the sheer storytelling at that time, you know, just seems so cool. You know, I got to go back and watch some of this stuff, you know. Some of the best guys on promos, some of the worst guys you'll ever see in promos, too. I'll never forget Mr. Jumpin' Jeff Farmer, who ended up being fake Sting in WCW. That's so crazy. I guess he got really popular in Japan too, like more popular than the regular Sting. It's so weird how that worked out for him, but you know, it was pretty cool. He got, you know, a good payday and stuff like that, I'm sure, working in Japan and stuff like that, and finally got the big break he was looking for. One of the weirdest moments I've seen in WCW though is when Sting comes down, he's in the ring or something like that, and he's wearing a fake Sting mask. And then he just takes the mask off and it's Sting underneath. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what's the context of this? Yeah, I don't know. It's just such a crazy, it's a really funny segment to see. And I don't know. We got some pretty crazy matches so far. I mean, we've already had a triple threat. Now we got a freaking fatal four-way, and of course, you know, we already had our match. You know, the craziest match was the one we had right before this. You know, Lucky Tito or Mamby Bambi Tito. I don't know. I'm hoping that these guys kind of like knock each other out a little bit too. I'm not gonna lie, because just be less for me to have to deal with, you know. Well, speaking of dealing with stuff, yeah, take that, Fritz. Fritz Von Erich seemed like such a shitty dad. I'm not gonna lie. It seems like, unfortunately, a lot of the tragedy that happened in that family is because of how hard he pushed everybody. And, you know, obviously the wrestling business, even back then, you know, was just such a terrible, dangerous, and, you know, a drug-fueled place and all that sort of stuff. Probably is to a degree today, honestly. Just we don't hear about it as much, and we like to think of these guys in, like, a cleaner image and stuff. I'm sure they're probably doing crazy stuff, like, you know, there's probably a few guys on coke in the back and stuff like that. They're just probably maybe a little smarter about it. I don't know. Even though, like, these guys, I feel like a lot of time they get a reputation of being, like, I don't even know what the fuck just happened there. But even then, I think a lot of times these guys, you know, get a reputation nowadays for being like wimps and sissies and not as interesting as like the guys back in the day that, you know, just kind of didn't seem like they gave a shit about life. They just wanted to live life to the fullest at that time. And I don't know, I'm sure there's still a whole bunch of, you know, crazy shit going on in the locker room nowadays. You know, people get along more nowadays, depending on the locker room. Like the WWE locker room, I guess people really get along much more often than like definitely in the 90s and the 2000s, stuff like that. But you know, I'm sure they're probably still doing some crazy drugs at certain points. Probably just not in the locker room anymore is where it's happening, you know. It's like, hey, you can do whatever the fuck you want, just don't do it on company time. Or probably a whole bunch of weird like sex stuff going on too. I mean, you know how rock stars live. And I'm actually looking at it now, and yeah, that's actually just like the texture of the map. Not the nothing special as far as like a, you know, boot scuff or something like that, but it's still kind of cool that they put that in there on the map. And also I did notice that, yeah, the arena once again did not change, so you know, too bad on that part. But let's see, we'll have to see if there's any more areas after this match. And alright, we're kicking ass. I didn't actually realize just how close close to, oh boy, I'm really getting my ass kicked, honestly. But that's alright, we still got this. We still got this. Just gotta get our finisher and we'll end the things there. Ooh! Alright, this is not good actually. This is actually pretty bad. I could get knocked out. And I don't know if I lose my belts or, you know, what's going on here, but I'd like to keep my undefeated streak intact here. Alright, come on, man. Hurry up. What? Seriously? Okay, come on. This is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Come on. My momentum has got to be up there. Oh, God damn it. Now I got to roll him over. Alright, this has got to end it. Wow, that barely. Man, I did pretty bad in the match excitement aspect as well. That's probably my worst match by far. Weak damage? What the hell does that even mean? Alright, come on, at least get past, you know, the second over thing. Come on, come on. Alright, looks like we're going back to Montreal, so it is exactly what I thought.
In tonight's match, hailing from Sunset Beach, Hawaii, towering in at 6 feet 3 inches and weighing in at approximately 270 pounds, Don Morocco. And hailing from Montreal, Canada, at a height of 5 feet 11 inches and weighing in at 235 pounds, Rick Martel.
Alright, we got some tag team action going on here. And I've already mentioned Don Morago and stuff like that, as well as, you know, Rick Martel and Tito Santana, all that good stuff. But yeah, I don't know, I can't, it's cool for variety, but I cannot stand the tag matches. I think just most wrestling games, I go on rants about it all the time. I just think most wrestling games, now that I think about it though, just don't really have very satisfying tag team matches. Like, I think it's really cool, the Tornado ones are always so much fun. Especially the older games like the SmackDown titles. You know, tag team matches where you have to tag in, and Here Comes the Pain absolutely suck, man. They are terrible. And, you know, when you play SmackDown 1 and 2, and, you know, it's different because, okay, it's a PS1 game, and they're just figuring the things out. But then, like, when like you get to Here Comes the Pain, and you realize they did not upgrade the tag team formula at all, and it's still wild and crazy and all this other stuff. Yeah, it just sucks so bad. But eventually they made it better, and now we have it, what they are today, and I think that's pretty cool. But the tornado tag matches are always great. And here comes the pain when you had like the 6-man, like the Falls Captain Falls matches were awesome. The 2v2v2 ones, for the hardcore, the table, and the ladder, those were awesome. It is so goddamn lame that over time they got rid of those matches, the 2-on-2-on-2, because those were some of the best matches there were. And yeah, I'm not messing up on that frequent tag again because I'm not getting screwed over. They're definitely making me work for the match excitement this time. I mean, look, I did what they wanted. It's still not even filled. Like, that didn't even do anything for me. But jeez, what was I gonna say? Yeah, those 2v2v2 ones. I mean, those are so awesome. Those are some of the best match types in the whole series. And I think it was SmackDown vs. Raw 2007 or it was 2008 when they just said, for whatever reason, they just said fuck it and they just threw those out of the series for good. I don't even think they have them in games nowadays, which is just so weird because like I wonder what the issue would be with implementing something like that, Even if it's something you don't see too often on TV or anything like that, it's still just such a fun match type. There's so many match types in the games. You would think that, today's wrestling games would have every single match type you could ever want available, Buried Alive, Inferno, and stuff like that. Not really worrying necessarily about what's going on with TV at recent times. Maybe that's a WWE thing. They're saying, hey, maybe when it came to SmackDown vs. Raw 2009, they said, hey, Buried Alive match is cool, but we just had this Inferno match, with Kane and MVP, so get rid of that one and put this in. Don't have both, or whatever weird reason like that. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. I just never understood the point of removing match types as series went on. If you're kind of revamping the style of things, sure, I guess I understand that. Like if it was the jump from 2011 to WWE 12 where they did the new engine and all that sort of really cool stuff, I could kind of understand things being lost in translation, and moving things to a completely new entrant, to a completely new engine and stuff like that. But just going from game to game, it just never really made any sense to me why they would get rid of those match types. And it was something I feel like you slowly saw throughout the series, happen until, I think we got some of the more generic matches in 2007, but who knows? I mean, maybe it was just something where because they were making the constant gameplay improvements and, they did move to a new generation of console on 2007. So maybe that was the thing where like, okay, we're doing things, the gameplay itself requires more power, so we have to remove some of the match types that may make, have issues, and maybe that was the 2-on-2-on-2 match types. I have no idea, because I mean, they still kept in all the other 6-man matches, so. And even today, you would think that they would be able to have, even if, like I said, it's not a common match type nowadays, it's not something, but like, I've definitely seen, 2v2v2v2, a 4-man tag match or stuff like that. They have the 4-on-4 and stuff like that. I think they even have 5-on-5 in modern wrestling games, but I don't know if they have like 4 teams of 2, all the 4 corners match. That's what it is. I don't know if they have that still going on. And it could, even if it's like I feel like that'd be a pretty cool match type to have come back. Whether it's just like how it is on TV usually most of the time, where it's like 2 guys in the ring and they can just tag on whoever the hell they want. And fuck you for the repetitive moves, man. Come on, I'm just trying to win this match here. Or, it could have been also, tornado stuff is what you'd really want to see, especially for like a gameplay perspective. Because it'd be really weird, because then there would be no like incentive for like a human player to tag in, anybody else into the match, obviously. So I'm assuming the only way it would really work would be if it was like tornado options, so everybody could have a chance to win. But I don't even know what the fuck just happened there. But it would be just really cool if they had those matches in there. Somebody could even enlighten me in the comments. Like I said, I haven't played a game since 2K22, and I just was not impressed, unfortunately. You know, there was some cool stuff going on, but like, you know, I couldn't do universe mode because it kept getting corrupted, and community creations, I couldn't do what I wanted with that because, you know, things kept getting corrupted, so it's just not a well-made game, unfortunately. That went up like 3. That was such a terrible match. Back to Tokyo.
And from Sunset Beach, Hawaii, at a height of 6 feet 3 inches, and tipping the scales at an amazing 270 pounds, Don Muraco. Opponent hailing from Montreal, Canada, standing at 5 feet 11 inches and weighing in at approximately 235 pounds, Rick Martel.
Damn, you would think for the World Tour I'd have a much bigger variety of opponents here, man. Like, what the hell is going on here? I should be able to face pretty much anybody in the damn game here. I'm taking on freaking Don Muraco and Martel again. And, you know, they got the freaking matching ring gear here. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not. Maybe it was the weird thing to try and psych me out. You know, Don Muraco's like, hey, we can get a one over on that bald bastard Hogan. Let's wear the same exact outfit with the same exact colors. Then he won't know which one of us is which. That'll give us an advantage. Let's see, we gotta hit the ref here. There we go. I wanted to smack him with the weapon just to be an extra asshole, but it is what it is. I always thought it was funny how, like, Hulk Hogan, even when he was a face, he was such an asshole when it came to Battle Royals. Like, you know, there was a time when he was facing Sid Justice, and I think he got eliminated, and then he just like dragged Sid by the arm out of the ring when he was already eliminated, just being an asshole because he was pissed off he got eliminated by him. That was a douchebag move. That's definitely not a face thing. I mean, he would bite people's foreheads. There was also the time of World War III where, like, the ref thought he got, you know, eliminated when he went underneath the rope and stuff. And, you know, he was essentially just bitching to Macho Man about it. And, you know, sure, there was the fairness aspect of it, but, you know, I don't think there's ever been a moment where Macho Man got to have his moment with Hulk Hogan not hot dogging it, you know. With your hot dogging and your grandstanding. Macho Man was great. Just, pretty much him saying anything was just awesome. Stupid managers too. I have to wonder how the manager system works in this game if like 2 people have the same manager. Does it just like kind of default to like a player 1 thing? I wonder what the deal is with that. Or maybe they're both, now the one gets the manager or something, I don't know. I kind of want to go with smack Bano off the apron. There we go. We got that ref. He was getting it, folks. I just was not patient enough to make it the actual thing that got me the match excitement. See, even it's not just me. Look at this. This is like an infinite reversal too. I don't know. Is this gonna end? Might as well just taunt while this is going on. I mean, this is the shit that I have to deal with at the end of like the games, man. Like non-stop reversing. And I don't think I can even interrupt it. Alright, well, things seem to have gotten a hold on things. But I mean, that was like 20 reversals in a row, dude. And I love the weapon physics so much in this game. Every time something stupid happens, I'm going to have to mention it. The weapon physics in 2011, SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, were pretty great too. It's crazy. I never realized it, but because I thought it, like, I didn't play SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 that much, because my game fucking got stolen by a scumbag who, you know, I thought we could trust, but I thought that, like, when they, because that was like kind of like a new game style compared to 2009. I thought that they got rid of all like those crazy moves in 2010, but it was actually 2011 where they got rid of all the legacy moves that you know, the creator, I guess, felt just looked too unrealistic for like the modern titles. But like, yeah, you know, like all the special animations for The Rock and Stone Cold and Triple H and, you know, all the, you know, Brock Lesnar and all those characters that like had the special moves designated just for them, you know, like the Rock DDT, Stone Cold, you know, pushing people down and taunting in their face and stuff like that. I all got removed in 2011, and it's crazy because I loved SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, but I don't know. We're gonna see how well it holds up when I return to it at some point down the line. Yeah, let's get some more weapons in here. We don't have enough weapons in this match, folks. I love how they're just pretty much mostly just fighting each other. Oh, god damn it, it went to the crowd. Alright, we got it. Alright, they're pretty much almost ready to be finished off here. I want to be the one that would get a elimination as well. What? How the hell did I not reverse that? Man, there's Bano just wearing flip-flops? What the hell? Somebody's got to tell this guy this isn't Hawaii. Yeah, got him. Alright, so we got the knockout points for that, you know. That one match, last match, the tag one just set us back so bad. I think I literally got 3 points for that. Oh shit, he's got his finisher too. Man, why does he keep bringing up his manager? Are they gonna get kicked out at some point? And why the hell am I not? Alright, so that was his finisher, that's why. I was gonna say, why the hell did I get such a tiny, like, bar to hit to reverse that? Alright, he's actually kicking my ass. Just gotta, maybe I can get my finisher and finish him off, but probably not. Thinking about doing some high flying action, but like I don't think that actually gives you any sort of special bonus or anything like that. God damn it, dude. Is fucking Bano gonna get like out of here or something, dude? I mean, come on. I thought there was a manager ejection system. I could have swore there was in this game. And I don't know, the ref just doesn't give a shit. Alright, well that's going to be all for today's episode, folks. So thank you so much for watching. And if you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. Check out next week's episode, which I'm thinking will be the finale, but I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I've never actually beaten this game, so we're going to find that out for ourselves. But, you know, I am pretty close, you know, with my match excitement, my popularity, and all that sort of stuff. So I'm assuming, I don't know what else could be bigger than the world, but maybe we'll go for the Galactic Championship. I don't know. Thanks for watching, and like I said, check out next week's episode to see if it's the finale or not. Like and subscribe, but above all else, please remember to have a nice day.